artists, today we're going to do a very cool lesson. If you have time, you're going to turn it into a skeleton, but otherwise I'm going to show you how to draw a human. This is something that I got from a book called Drawing with Children. It's an older book, but I love it. And I want to show you the basic proportions of your body. And you have the head, the neck, and then you have your shoulders. Now, where there's a circle, there's movement, okay? And I just showed you a little person. Okay, he's standing over here. There we go, there's the leg. So where there is a circle, okay, do you see that right there? That means that's where you have movement. So take your foot in front of you, don't kick anybody. Move it around, think about your knee and it moves, okay? I'm gonna go back to my picture and I'm gonna show you from the book. So this is your torso, this is your body, these are your hips. Here's your arms, and this kind of should look like a rectangle to you, and where there's circles, like I said, there's the movement. So that's the basic part. We're not going to draw this one. This is a little more difficult. Okay, artists, this is another thing that I got. This is something I got from the internet, and it says for more step-by-step drawing tutorials, you can visit this right here, but I'm going to show you real quick. This is actually step 3. And remember, you can always take your finger and, well, you won't have the sheet because I haven't been making copies of it because of COVID. But you can always practice before you draw something first and look at the basic shapes that you see, okay? So this one is simplified and this one is more broken down. So when you have your piece of paper, and you might have a scrap piece of paper, you might have a smaller piece of paper. I just have a pile of papers over here. The first thing I want you to do is to think about what you see. So right here, what shape is that? That's right, it's an oval. So I'm gonna just fold my paper in half because like I said, I have another video that I found on the internet of to turn it into a skeleton. Today I want you to think about drawing a person. So I would start, we talked about having the movement, doing multiple circles, okay, and the movement comes from your shoulder. So I would start with a placement at the top. You know, you could practice with your finger first. And then the next thing that you see is a T. So do you see the T here? So starting at the head, I would come down and draw lightly, and then I would have a T. So that right there is your shoulders, and that would be your spine, okay? The next step that we see is the torso. And this shape here, to me, artist, it kind of looks like a rectangle or kind of a squish square. So I would take this coming down here, and this is just lightly. We're doing a basic shape of the body, okay? This also kind of looks like if you have a teacup and then there's something sitting inside the teacup. See how I could put the handle there. So always use your artist eye what it looks like to you. So when I look, the next step that I'm gonna see, let me see if I need to zoom this in a little bit there so you can see a little bit better. Make sure that it's not gonna be fuzzy. Oops, it went right back to the original. There we go, guys. Okay, so the next thing I would do is I have the body. I'm sorry, the bottom, so you have your hips. So you have curved line. Now see how it comes, it's the same proportion of the top part. You're not gonna want it to go way out here. And then it's gonna come back in, and then it looks like that, has a straight bottom. Okay, look at your shoulder, buddy. Now it's not gonna be perfect, like I said. This is just, I want you thinking about the movement and what your body looks like. So we come up back to the top and we have our arms. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the legs because I want your arms, see where your arms come down a little bit past your hips. And think about if you're standing, what it would look like. So when I have my legs, I come out just a little bit because that's your hip socket. So the next part, if I'm looking at this sheet, okay, going step by step, this is where your ball and socket joint would be, so you would put a circle. Then these lines are your legs, okay? And your legs actually come in. You wouldn't want them, well, you can have them straight down, and then we have, the next part, we have the knee. So you just draw a loose little circle because that's where you would have movement. And then you have the circle where your feet would be, okay? Now I'm gonna go back up, move the sheet, make sure you can see. And I've got my arm, okay? Now the same thing, you have a socket here. You could do a circle here. They don't have that there. That's okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add it because I want you to think about movement. Then I'm just doing this arms basic straight down, arms basic straight down. Look where the hands are. And if you stand in a minute, you're gonna see where your hands come down just below where your hip is. And I'm going to have it go basically kind of the same on each side. Then I would have that circle is where my elbow would be. And you would actually, they don't do it here either, you would have a circle where your wrist moves. The same thing on the little wooden picture that I have. And then they have the palm. You could just do it kind of like that. They have it where it goes and you have the little hand. You decide how you want to draw it. I'm not real concerned about this. Is just a basic drawing. Now what I want to remind you of, if we go back and we look at this part, now let's look at this sheet, artist. So they've divided this in sections to make you think about drawing the rest of your face. And your eyes are actually, which we're not going into that today, they're in the middle of your head. Okay, so let's check and look and see if there's anything. They had the spine that went down a little bit further. They have the joints, okay, the feet. So to take this another step further, which we're not going to do today, but you can always do this, you would then add your muscle. And you see, artists, where it begins to look like a person, and then you would have your neck where it would get skinnier and then wider at the base. And then you could add in your waistline and your extra thing. You would add in your muscles, okay? And you could add in your feet. Maybe your feet are facing forward, maybe your feet are sideways. And this should help you think about movement. And then I'm going to show you the video of how to draw a skeleton.